Welcome to the Nightly Rant. I'm Mike.
And I'm Toria.
This is the show where we talk about the awful things that have happened in our day, the awesome things that have happened in our day,
and all the things in between.
Thanks for listening, and we truly hope you enjoy. Hi everybody, this is Mike, and I just wanted to tell you that tonight we have a special guest, Abe Abdelhadi from The Bitter Truth. And unfortunately, we did have some technical difficulties that we apologize for in advance, but we chose to go forward with this episode because the content is just that amazing. We hope you will agree with us. So, lunch was interesting today.
Yes, interesting and very tasty.
Yeah, I liked how you chose for me what I would like off the menu. It saved me at least 20 minutes of having to browse that stupid thing.
Well, I'm sorry, but the menu at BJ's is like the size of China.
It is. It is. So it was interesting. There was good conversation with our friend George. That was really good.
I like George. He's a cool dude.
He's definitely got interesting opinions on things. I will say that.
That's true. Very interesting.
And it's who's
George?
George? Oh, hey, who's that?
It's Abe. Yeah.
Oh, is this Abe?
How did Abe get in our podcast again?
It's kind of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I took the trolley and just sort of got off.
Interesting.
So for those of you who don't know, this is Abe Abdelhadi, and he's the host of The Bitter Truth, and he's a friend of the show. And talk about an opinionated person. This guy is an opinionated person, and he'll make you laugh at the same time.
Oh, we'll see about that.
So how's it going, Abe?
It's going good, man. I've had kind of a long week, doing the day gig, and just a lot of meetings and just been working. So just got home about an hour ago and drinking a whiskey and soda and chatting with you guys.
Wow, long day.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah.
We started a little early because we knew you were coming along. And man, it's still kind of late for you. That's crazy.
9-ish. It's okay.
Well, I have one question. Did you bring enough whiskey and soda for the class?
No.
How rude.
You know what? You know what's funny? I only stopped being self-conscious about that like 5 years ago. Like if I would order food at a bar and I would feel kind of self-conscious if I didn't let everybody have some. I'm like, no, this is mine. About 5 years ago, I finally owned my food. Like, no, this is my food. You go get your own food. No, you can't have that. That's my shrimp. You go get your own plate with shrimp on it. Leave me alone.
Fascism is real.
Do you ever have that problem, honey, where people, they let you order food and then they tell you they're not hungry and then they proceed to eat all your food?
I've broken at least 2 fingers in my lifetime because of this.
Woof. Talking about mafia.
You know what, though? Now that we're going to talk about mafia and organized crime,
Oh, what a good layup. Go. You go. Whatever this is going to be, I'm sure it's going to be good.
Let's talk about Bernie Sanders and his Amazon tax.
Well, it's not just Amazon, but go ahead. You set it up. Do your thing.
Well, Mr. Wonderful would like to impose a tax that he would use on companies. He would basically tax companies that have employees on their payroll who are also using government services like food stamps, etc.
Medicaid, yes, absolutely right.
I have to interject.
Yes.
He's not Mr. Wonderful. That's Kevin.
Oh, Kevin O'Leary. That's true. He's actually the real Mr. Wonderful, but hey, it's okay.
You know what? No, hey, people used to be, a quick side note, people used to be called Mr. Wonderful all the time before he took that. I won't, I mean, you can be sarcastic and call him Mr. Wonderful, or if you think he's wonderful, but no one owns that name. I mean, if he trademarked that, I'll be pissed. That's a good lawyer right there. But continue. I'm sorry.
I hope he did.
Right? Could you imagine? You can no longer be called Mr. Wonderful. I have trademarked it.
Yeah.
That's like we're going to go on a little tangent here for a second, okay? It's like the guy that reached out to me from a website that has the same name as one of our podcasts, and he told me that he had a trademark on that name. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I immediately go, and I'm supposed to cease and desist. So I immediately go and I look up the trademark records, and surprise, surprise, there isn't one.
Yeah, and surprise, I bet there's not a .com either. It's interesting when you go trademark and bother to do all that. You didn't bother to even get the .com or the .anything.
Well, that's just it. He had a similar domain name. It wasn't the exact, wouldn't have been an exact domain name, but it was similar. But what's funny about it is he thought that was his trademark.
Yeah, that's the funniest part.
Okay.
So tell me, Abe.
Let's spend our energy and ire on deservedly stupid people and not like stupid people. But ask me your question. Ask me your question. You're saying so. Tell me, Abe, and I interrupted you.
That brings us back then perfectly back to Bernie Sanders. So here's the question, Abe. We've talked about this before. How the fuck can you support that stupid idea?
Well, because I don't think it's a stupid idea. So let's just start from there. If Amazon, well, I'll give you an example. So up until 1961, and I'm going back a little bit, but don't worry, I'm not going to go through each year from then. I'm just going to start from 1961. Up until 1961, manufacturing overseas was illegal. You couldn't do it. And this is why the marginal tax rate was 90%, for example, from FDR through Eisenhower. And then in 1961, Kennedy feeling pressure from big business. He barely won that election. People always forget that because he got shot. But he succumbed to the pressure of big business, and he allowed a quota of 5% of American manufacturing to be done overseas. Now, every year and every president since, up until Bill Clinton, and I'll get to that in a second, allowed that number to increase. So that by the time Clinton came on board, it was like 70% of American manufacturing was being done overseas, basically gutting manufacturing jobs, just gutting unions entirely. And then he did NAFTA, and I think you and I agree on NAFTA, fabulous disaster that was. Democrats still want to admit that. So coming into that now, to me, and this is a philosophical issue, and this is what I learned in business school, the function of business in America is to do two things: provide goods and services, and to provide a living wage. Otherwise, you're going to have the Pullman strikes all over again. And what Amazon's been doing, and not just Amazon, I mean, Jeff Bezos looks like Dr. Evil. He is Dr. Evil. He's got to deal with the CIA. He owns a newspaper. I mean, he's not a good guy. So whatever. That notwithstanding, he's not the only company that does this. The Waltons are worth $170 billion. We subsidize their employees to the tune of $50 billion a year of taxpayer money. Amazon, it's about $40 billion a year. It goes on and on and on. We're looking at about $300 billion a year of subsidies to all of these companies that employ these people. So I don't think it's a stupid idea. Either pay them a living wage, or you pay the tax. I'm tired of me paying $300 or $800 or whatever it is a month that these people need, and then you're going to tell me that, oh, we can't have health care, or God forbid, we go to college for free. I went to college for free. So the bottom line is, no, I don't think it's stupid. And if Jeff Bezos is worth $160 billion, by the way, his fulfillment centers, he doesn't pay any state tax in any state that he's in. He pays no sales tax in any state that he's in. And he gets a huge, big tongue bath from the federal government on his federal taxes. Just like IBM last year got a $500 million tax return. And Apple paid 0.005%.
But you just proved my point that it's a stupid idea. There's if they would change the regulations that are giving them this tongue bath, as you call it, if they would change those regulations to actually collect the tax money from them that they collect on everybody else, they wouldn't.
Does that mean they would still pay the people? Tax.
Well,
does that mean they would still pay the people? See, now you're doing this libertarian thing is what you're doing, okay? Because you're really not a libertarian. You don't know that yet, but you really aren't a libertarian. But right here, you're being a little libertarian. This is what you're doing. You're doing that thing where any tax is bad, and this tax is a dumb idea because it's a tax. And I agree with you. If I made your point to a degree, if Amazon, if Walmart, all those guys, if we tax them properly, then fine. But would they pay their workers a living wage?
Okay, now that's
and I don't think they would.
But that's the second part of this. Who decides what a living wage is?
The cost of living increases, and the fact that if you want people to buy your stuff, you went to business school. If you want people to buy your stuff, they got to have money to buy your stuff. Otherwise, you got the Pullman strikes all over again. Everyone forgets about that.
But
the first time Eugene Debs went to jail was in the 1890s.
Okay. Ask yourself why people take the job. If it's less than what they need,
because there are no more jobs left.
Take the job. Okay, but hold on. Here's the reality.
There are no more jobs left.
Here's the reality. For one, the Amazon as example, the average warehouse worker in the United States makes $13.50 an hour. Amazon pays theirs $15 an hour. So
no, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I saw that report. No, they don't. That includes, quote, stock options and bonuses that you got to run faster than a human being to collect. You break that down, they're making about $9 to $11 an hour. But if you want to count their stock options after being vested for 2 years and running around like the Flash with the little electric gloves like Pavlov's dog, where if they move too much to the left or too much to the right, the gloves vibrate to make sure that they maximum efficiency. And the fulfillment centers don't even have air conditioning in them. Bezos has an ambulance outside of his fulfillment centers in the warmer states because it's cheaper than having air conditioning. If a guy strokes out, it's cheaper to get an EMT to work on him than it is to have air conditioning in his fulfillment centers.
Victoria.
And I'm supposed to feel sorry for this guy.
You've seen two of these.
I've seen the job postings that are paying $15, $20 to work in the Amazon fulfillment center here.
That's what they'll say.
And that's not.
That's the hourly rate.
Wall Street Journal had a different thing, and they're not exactly a liberal paper.
I don't know. Maybe they pay different wages in different places, but they definitely pay $20 here.
And they say they will, and then you get there and you ask about it, and they'll tell you about your stock options and bonuses. They pay up to $15 to $20 an hour.
No,
they do not guarantee $15 to $20 an hour.
They actually have an agency here that works for them that actually will pay you $25 an hour because they're getting the 15 from Amazon and they're paying you 25. So they just
in Orange County. What about the rest of the country?
Well, that's what I said. I'm
in Orange County, but
each area.
Yeah, I'm talking.
But each area is what should be setting what a supposed fair wage is. I mean, we talk about how much money these people paid, but is it really their fault that they were successful and happened to make some money?
Oh no! Listen, he invented the idea. That I give him. I have no problem with that. But is it even ethical to fuck over workers at the expense of what? Just to have $160 billion? How about being worth $100 billion and pay your workers and have some goddamn air conditioning? There's an idea.
But we don't get to tell him what to do with his money. That's the point.
You know what? We got laws in this country. No, okay. That's hypocritical because we got laws in this country. We don't get to tell him what to do with his money. But if he's going to operate and do business here, we have to start standing up like we used to.
But you just keep proving my point.
Like crap. And then, by the way,
just keep proving my point over and over.
We're spending 50.
That the infrastructure is already there to take care of the problem, and they're not fucking using it.
No, they're not. Listen, he gets $50 billion a year from us. How's that fair?
Whose fault is that?
Whose fault is that? 40 years of a neoliberal disaster from Ronald Reagan on, and every president and both parties. That's whose fault is that?
Yeah, sure. So you're talking about our government.
I'm talking about the government without an opposition party. We don't have an opposition party in this country. I'm talking about the government that's been bought off since at least Jimmy Carter to now. Both parties, both sides. We don't have an anti-war. We don't have listen. History has shown that when one party runs everything, people die. Happened under Pol Pot,
Yep.
happened under Hitler, happened under Mussolini.
Sure.
Every time you got one party running everything, people die. And now we got one party running everything. It's called the business party. It's an oligarch party with the top 0.001%. Excuse me?
But here's the thing. You have the government that you've admitted is at fault here. And they have laws.
Because they are bought.
They have
because
laws.
they're bought.
Let me finish my thought. They have laws that are not being enforced that are supposed to stop this kind of thing from happening. So what you want to do is create another law that's going to stop this kind of thing from happening. When the first law that was
when you call them protections, people
so well.
When you call them protections, people give a shit. When you call them regulations, we get all boogeyman regulations. When you call them protections, people give a crap. You're gonna have the Pullman strikes all over again, but on a national level. If people don't know who George Pullman, listen, they're called protections for a reason. We deregulated the banks. Bang up job so far. I know. Let's not have cops. Because the murderers and rapists will regulate the market. The rapists will be like, I'm not feeling so rapey today. I raped 3 women this week. It's Thursday. I think I'll take a long weekend. That's the market regulating itself. Or the murderer guys will go, you know what? I think thank God we don't have these cops. I'm regulating myself. Come on.
You admitted it was the government's fault. And you admitted that the government has laws.
No. Now you're being Ben Shapiro. No. Now you're being Ben Shapiro living in half-truth land. I said we got one big party that's bought off by the corporatocracy. We do not have an opposition party. And the government's fault is that they're completely bought off. And by the way, the Fourth Estate, which used to be the press, which used to and by the way, the Fourth Estate, which used to be the press, which used to modulate this stuff and keep these guys in check, they're bought off because Clinton deregulated the communications business.
Okay, hold on.
You got
hold on.
6 companies and 272 executives running everything.
Not
Sweet
good.
Jesus. I think that was the longest single breath rant in the history of our podcast.
Exactly.
Or maybe the history of Earth. Who knows?
But here's the thing. This guy right here, if you want to hear more of that kind of stuff, and we're going to keep going, but if you want to hear more of that kind of stuff, you can go, Abe, what's the website address for the Bitter Pill Patreon?
Because I'm sure your people are like, oh, can I really? Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what they need to do.
Sweet Jesus, I would listen.
If you the easiest way, I'm on iTunes and Stitchers and YouTube and everything, but the easiest way, and obviously you listen for free, but if you want to be a Bitter Pill, you can. If you go to patreon.com/thebittertruth, you can listen to all the latest podcasts. I have some blogs on there. And then if you want to be a Bitter Pill, you can. And then, we're adding more little perks to that too. But it's definitely free at no charge. Just listen away and comment all you want and all that kind of stuff. But, and I have guests. It's not just a soliloquy. I actually let people talk. I don't get too riled up, so it's okay. And, but yeah, it's, excuse me. I'm trying to go on longer breaths.
He's had me on like a crazy person. He's had me on that show twice.
Oh, I have you on again. You're a friend of the show. You're awesome. Are you kidding?
Why wasn't I invited?
You're invited.
You want to come on?
No.
I don't know. I feel like the two of you have such big opinions that I just sit here and giggle in the background. Really.
Oh yeah, don't give me. Come on, don't give me that crap. I'm just the woman behind my man. Okay,
it's true. I'm the quiet, silent bitch in the background.
God, if I get another girlfriend, I'll give her your number. You can give her some lessons. That'd be awesome. But no, I'm in.
What's your opinion? I was just going to ask you. That's part of why I made him interject and put his advertisement in there, so he can cool down a little bit, and you can say what you think.
What you think?
That.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So I don't. Okay, I'm going to be that person who mildly agrees with both of you on some parts and disagrees with both of you on other parts. So if Amazon is truly refusing to air condition their warehouses so that their employees are like stroking out, then maybe the regulation should be addressing shit like that instead of sticking their hand right down their back pocket and straight up their ass to pull taxes out. So.
Well, you keep telling half the story, though. Pull taxes out why? Randomly? No, it's because we're paying their workers for them.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't mean randomly at all. I understand the thought behind this. But come on now, I'm Canadian. How socialist is Canada? And I think this is a bad idea.
And here's the thing.
Well,
you keep telling a half truth. The half truth you're telling is that it's all of their employees that were subsidizing, or a huge percentage.
Not all.
It's the employees who
It's like 30,
by the way, chose to work part-time are the ones that were subsidizing. How is that their fault? If they're full-time employees don't need subsidization, why then they're obviously paying a good wage. But you choose to work 10 hours a week?
Amazon limits most people's hours to 28 hours a week. That's another fact you can look up. If I'm crazy, let me know. But that's a fact. They limit a lot of their workers to 28 hours a week, so they don't have to pay health insurance because they're quote part-time. That's the oldest trick in the book. Come on, you've been in business, you know that. That's not out there.
That's what they do here in California all the time. It's why you're considered a full-time employee at like 31.
But then the other part of it is, in all seriousness and no ranting or anything else, the other part of it is we've spent the last 50, 60 years gutting manufacturing. By 2003, between 1994 and 2003, we lost like 2 million manufacturing jobs. You know, between that knothead Alan Greenspan and Larry Summers and Bill Clinton, and everyone gives them credit for the economy. Those guys fell into a couple of booms and busts, and that was it. And Alan Greenspan had no idea what the hell he was doing at all for 30 years. And you know, and thinking, well, you know, it doesn't matter where a Greenspan quote, doesn't matter where a product is made, if it's made in China or the United States, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you, but it matters to a guy in Anderson, Indiana, whose dad and granddad worked at General Motors, and now those jobs are gone. And when you got the average CEO in this country making 500 times that of a worker, I mean, yeah, they made up the idea or made up the company, but in cases like Jamie Dimon, he's a fucking employee. He got a job. Okay, Les Moonves, he didn't invent CBS. They just fired him. Okay, because you're an employee. Now, if you're Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs, and you know we can go on about their moral, ethical failings or what have you, but the fact is that they invented a company. That's a different deal than 90% of these CEO guys like Lloyd Blankfein, fucking employee, high-paid, overrated employee. He's worth $70 million a year. No, he's not. All those motherfuckers drove every goddamn bank into the ground, and we should have let them fail. Between Bush and Obama, that TARP thing was a disaster. So you want to talk about some serious, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps? We should let the banks fail, go back to the dark ages, and let the savings alone help us out and spend government money.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Refunding the IRAs, refunding the 401ks, refunding the pensions that were robbed because of these bankers, and bailing out the homeowners who got screwed. But you know, Tim Geithner allowed 5.1 million bank foreclosures to go down because that was baked into the recovery, unquote. It's maddening, man. And so this is where I don't like to get partisan, because it's not about partisans. Two plus two is 4. If 2 plus 2 is 4.6, it's because a Republican or a Democrat is selling that to you. That's it.
I just think there's a better solution than what's being proposed that would do better things for people and let people off.
No, piss them off more. We need to piss them off more. We got too many complacent people, and we need a draft. If we had a draft, people would pay attention to the fact that we're in 8 wars right now, because no one's kid is going. It's those kids are going. But if we had a draft like we did in the 60s, and Johnny Lunchbucket down the street is coming back in a bag, and you grew up with him, and you went to college, and you got education, and you're going to be out in the streets protesting. They don't want that anymore. So no one protests the wars anymore, because the only people that go to wars anymore are poor people. Poor people's kids go to fight these wars now. It's not the middle class.
You're not wrong about that, but let's stay on the topic at hand, which is still this really stupid idea. So let me ask you, is murder currently illegal in most places?
I think it's illegal in every place.
Okay, good. That makes sense. So then if people still murder people,
let's agree on something and then move from there. Okay, continue.
If people still murder people, but they happen to use a knife, should we suddenly now go back to the drawing board and make a law that says people shouldn't murder with a knife? Murder's already illegal. Why make another law that says murder's illegal? Well, same thing.
Okay.
We're giving these people, you gave the answer. We're giving these people all these tax breaks and subsidies and corporate welfare that we're giving to these companies. So we think that that same government is going to go ahead and ask for another tax and tell us that that's what's going to pay for things.
Oh, make no mistake. Listen. There's like 3 guys that agree with Bernie Sanders. The rest of them are bought and sold. All right. This is not going to pass. I think it's a good idea, but it's not going to pass. You kidding? There's not enough people for it to pass.
You keep talking right past the main point, which is if there's already a law in place that's not being enforced by the government that's supposed to enforce this new law, how can you be so sure they're going to enforce the law and fix the problem?
Well, let me ask you a question. What law is there that we have that companies should pay a living wage and not dip into my pocket to do it? Do we have a law for that? We don't, do we?
See, living wage is such a stupid term because it means one thing in Orange County. It means another thing in Salt Lake City. It means another thing in Peoria. You know, that's a stupid thing. That's why I believe.
Great. Then let me
minimum wage,
even further.
Universal basic income. That's the answer to that stupid issue. Then everybody would get
let's do this.
What they're deserving.
Okay, let's make this $20 an hour, and the average business owner can apply to the Department of Labor for a subsidy because we're going to take $300 billion out of defense and put it into the Department of Labor. And now if a McDonald's owner, because he's only a franchise owner, he's not McDonald's Corporation, let's just say he can only afford $11 an hour, well, we'll give him $9 an hour because we don't seem to ask any questions. We pay
no subsidies. No subsidies.
Oh, we're subsidizing defense at an inordinate rate. $1.2 trillion a year. No one's asking questions about that. We're turning into Rome. In a decade, we're going to be done because China and the BRICS are kicking our ass on this shit. They actually are making loans to third world countries. Our money's going to come flooding back in 10 years. And Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, rather. They are bigger than the World Bank. They're bigger than the G3 or G8 rather. And if we stop becoming the reserve currency of the world, which we will within a decade, we're done. And if we don't start going back to the drawing board and creating a middle class, we're going to have the Pullman strikes all over again. And if you don't remember the Pullman strikes, George Pullman, who invented the Pullman car, who basically was big train cars for rich people before they invented airplanes, Pullman, Illinois, named after him and his family. He owned all the property, rented his stuff out to the workers, had a bunch of general stores, sold stuff to the workers. The workers worked at his plant. They all lived in Pullman, Illinois. And then all of a sudden he decided to cut wages but raise their rents. Well, that was a bad idea. And they had these strikes, some of the first labor strikes in the country in the 1890s in Pullman, Illinois, because of this very same kind of thing. How many fucking boats do you need to water ski behind? $160 billion, and that guy can't pay $20 an hour to these people? They're helping you make your profit, dude. It's a partnership. You don't need to be making 7 million times more than the bottom paid worker. In the 60s, it was 10 to 1 CEO to worker. Now it's like 500 to 1. And again, with the exception of the Jeff Bezos, with the exception of the Bill Gates, these guys are fucking employees. Jamie Dimon is worth $70 million a year. Lloyd Blankfein is worth what he makes? No, he's not.
See, now when you drill in a little bit, as you're doing, we get closer together in agreement. But I'm going to tell you, we're never going to agree on this issue.
That's fine.
I can tell, but here's what I want everybody to notice. We're still friends, right, Abe?
Dude, come on, listen. This is the problem with America. Everybody gets pissy pants, and if you don't watch Rachel Maddow together and hold hands and braid each other's hair, which I don't have any, but you know, let's braid each other's hair and watch Rachel Maddow or Sean Hannity do their crap. It's not one big corporate gangbang, man. That's why we're friends, is because you understand that it's a big corporate gangbang, and as George Carlin said, it's a big club, and we ain't.
And Mike doesn't have enough hair to braid.
Exactly.
I don't have any hair. I'm aerodynamically designed to go directly to heaven. So.
And that's why I asked the question, because I feel like sometimes people completely forget that adults are allowed to disagree and still be friends. You don't have to.
Well, yeah.
I mean, dude.
I'm not gonna change my mind just to make people feel better. I mean, the one thing that would drive me crazy when I would go to a party, and now that I'm in Texas, even though it's a big state, and I've been living here about 3.5 years now in Austin, even though it's a big state, man, there's a lot of connected people, especially to the Bushes, all right, and the Johnsons. And you make a joke about that, and somebody's got some, like 1 out of 5 people have some story. Well, I went to high school with his grandson. I'm going, okay, what? I'm supposed to take it back? He's still fucked up in Vietnam. Sorry. Hope his grandson was cool. Maybe you guys double dated at the prom. I don't give a shit. I mean, sorry, Or, well, I knew George Bush. He was a really nice man. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's a kind person. Him and his father are still diabolical motherfuckers of the Carlyle Group, and 41 bin Laden family members still flew out of the country. So without any questions or debriefing, but I'm just supposed to believe, okay, but they're nice people. I'm sure they're very nice people. You don't get that high in politics without being nice to everybody. I'm sure they're nice people. Doesn't mean I'm going to apologize for what I said. I still think those guys were just righteous cocksuckers. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, that's just it. That's just it. It's the other end of that same comment. You can be wrong about something. Like, everybody can agree. Sure. The majority can agree. It doesn't make you a bad person because you're wrong about something.
No.
And that's, I think, what people seem to
But in this case,
forget.
See, in this case, you're wrong about something, and I still like you. That's how magnanimous I am. It's ridiculous I'm one of the kindest people I know. Believe me, I'm one of the kindest people I know, bigly, like in a bigly way, in a very bigly kind way.
How many people do you know?
Like 3. like 3 or 4.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? We're going to wrap this thing up. Anything you want to promote before we go, Abe?
No, listen, we got another show coming on Monday night. We always, or Monday day rather, we release every Monday. Gentlemen talking about student mobility and big problem that I didn't even know existed, but apparently like the school districts lose a lot of money because kids move all over the place and, incomes and things like that. And he's part of a company that actually consults on student mobility and how to keep the kids in the same district so the districts don't lose money, and how to help the parents find better employment and cheaper apartments and all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty fascinating interview. I learned a lot, so that's gonna be pretty cool. And then if anybody knows who Seema Hernandez is, she's going to be back on the show again, friend of the show. She ran against Beto O'Rourke, and she got 250,000 votes on $4,000, and she's going to attempt to run for Senate against John Cornyn in 2020. So I'm excited to have her on the next couple weeks.
That would be cool, man. So everybody's got to listen.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to listen.
Yep, the bitter truth, baby.
Sounds pretty exciting.
All right, well, babe.
Well, the next time you come on, Mike, you're bringing your charming wife with you, and she's going to say more than she did tonight.
I will prepare all of my sass for you.
Have your bullet points. Have your bullet points ready, right? Because I feel guilty sometimes when me and Mike are just talking, and then I want you to just jump in. Just do you. I'm just getting to know you. But
don't. It's great that somebody else sasses him for once.
She likes that you beat up on
I'm single. Okay. well, listen. I beat up is not a word I would use, but if it makes you sleep better, that's okay.
Always a fun time. Anyway, well, thanks for being on tonight, Abe.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man.
All right.
All right, you guys have a good night.
You too.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Hasta la bye-bye. Do you miss the glory days of talk radio, where the hosts knew their stuff and were not spreading fake stories? What would it be like if those same hosts could speak their mind and not have to answer to management for it? I have just the thing for you. Spencer Hughes Podcast Adventures is the new show from Spencer Hughes, formerly of Fox News Radio and a host of other places. For as little as $1 a month, you can have access to Spencer again. His insights will make you think, and his humor will make you laugh. This is your chance to help a man build his dream and support his family. Head over to patreon.com/Spencer Hughes today and subscribe to one of the several levels you can choose from. You will not be disappointed in the content you are going to begin receiving. Patreon.com/Spencer Hughes. Adventurous content, the way radio used to be. Hi everyone, this is Mike, and I truly hope you enjoyed this show. You're able to subscribe to this show on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher so as to never miss an episode. If by chance you did miss an episode here or there, you can catch up on all shows, past and present, by heading over to yogispodcastnetwork.com/TNR show. Thanks for listening.